Welcome to Stories of Brisco and Bradshaw. I would be Bradshaw, and that would be your Chickasaw native, your Chickasaw Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And we have got a great guest today. She got a wonderful book out on Amazon, Princess Victoria Tales of Tears, Triumphs, and Turnbuckles. She was a champion everywhere she went. Unfortunately, it's a big what if in the wrestling business because her career was cut short by an injury. But from Stampede Wrestling to Portland to Mid-South to WWF at the time, now WWE, titles everywhere she went. She feared no one, man, woman, or beast. She is Princess Victoria. Princess Victoria, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And that was a nice intro there. That $10 I gave you really paid off
Yes,
well.
ma'am. I'm gonna go spend every bit of it.
What happened to my $10? What happened to my $10? I can't believe I didn't get 10. John won't share it with me either.
I thought you were going to loan me the $10 to give to him.
Well, I probably did somewhere down the line, but it's great. You got an Okie and you got a Texan on here, and I don't need to tell you who the Texan is. That's John Layfield there, but he'd been jealous of the Oklahoma nation because of all the natives all Native Americans from Oklahoma. So
right.
I told him we had an opportunity to bring you on, and he was thrilled to death there. So welcome aboard here. We got to do a shout out to Lalani Kai, who helped arrange this podcast for us here today. So thank you, Lalani, for having connected us up here. So
yes,
welcome.
Thank you, Leilani. I appreciate it.
So I understand now you moved from the great state of Washington to the even greater state of Oklahoma.
Please come.
Yes,
please. We will naturalize you. We'll get you out. We'll get you through customs and everything. We'll get you out of Oklahoma. We will move you in to be an honorary Texan.
Actually, my son has just now in the last 2 months. He's living in Dallas now.
God bless him.
Oh, he's a good kid. He's a good kid. He put himself through college, and he's done really good for himself. I'm really proud of him.
Well, we're glad you're living in the great state of Oklahoma there, but take us back to that in history here. Your love for professional wrestling. How did it begin? I mean, were you living in Washington or up in Canada at the time? Kind of fill in the blanks for us here, Vicki.
Well, when I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. And Saturdays, it was always, we started the day out with John Wayne, Audie Murphy, all the Westerns. I know almost every movie that John Wayne ever put out. Huh. And, of course, then at night, the one night that we did not sit at the dining table, that was the night that wrestling was on. And I'd sit there with my plate cross-legged in front of my granddad in his recliner, and we watched wrestling. And we went, I think it was Vancouver. We went to Vancouver and to visit some cousins of my grandmother's. And I was getting bored, so one of the boys said, the younger boy said, "Well, let's go to the roller derby and the wrestling match." And at that time, they had a roller derby first and then the matches afterward. And from what I can figure out, well, I fell in love with Jimmy Snuka. And from what I can find out, I think that was Jimmy's first match.
Wow.
And I still have the 8x10 that he autographed for me when I was 9 years old.
Wow.
Outstanding.
Yeah. I've always been a fan of wrestling. Always. I can't remember not being a fan of wrestling.
Vicki, let me ask you a crazy question that has nothing to do with anything about really about this show. Roller derby. We talked to so many people who watched. I did too, growing up. Mm-hmm. It just disappeared. Why do you think it disappeared and wrestling continued?
Because it's a work.
That's the reason. I knew it was fixed.
I can't answer that question because I love the Thunderbirds.
It was fun. Roller derby was fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. I don't know what happened. You're right. It's like one day it was all over the place, and the next day, bada bing,
It
bada
just
boom, it's
disappeared.
gone.
You had
Yeah.
so many spots with it. You sling guys around, you duck underneath, you had crazy, crazy stuff on there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, I loved it, and of course, watching the girls do the roller derby, uh, kind of hit home. I had actually thought about going into roller derby, and then I got snagged into wrestling. And y'all know, once you're in wrestling, it's like the mafia. You know too much, you're not getting out.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite roller derby player?
Uh, I cannot recall her name right now, but she was a big, husky blonde, and I mean, like he was talking about this, the arm slings and the whips and all that,
It was so
and
fun.
she
And the
did that.
girls were awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they weren't scared of anything.
No.
They had tremendous spots, didn't they? I mean, some of the spots that they would do. I mean, they were doing backdrops on that damn roller skating
Yeah.
course, everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love the elbows that they do.
They would do drop kicks. Remember, they would do
Yeah,
drop kicks with the roller skates.
yeah,
Right.
unbelievable.
Yeah, and like Mr. Briscoe said, that the elbows and to the chest and to the stomach, and come up, and I actually believe I saw one of them do a bulldog in the ring.
I think you did. I think I saw one too.
Yeah, there was at least one per show. Um,
Yeah.
but I like I said, I really loved roller derby, and then wrestling. That just came right in behind it, But
So that was on your list of career paths. It was roller derby princess. You've been roller derby princess then. Did they have an indigenous person on the roller derby? I don't remember one on the roller derby.
I don't remember one either.
They had
I
everything
don't.
else, so they had everything else. I loved it.
Oh yeah, and there was this short little guy that was managing the girls, the Thunderbirds, and he couldn't have been 5 foot tall. And he was their manager, and he'd sneak in there. He'd get up there and trip the girls on the edge of the ring, all that kind of stuff. I
That's
mean, they had, basically, it was wrestling on skates.
yeah. I think that was Harvey Whipperman.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would have been a great manager for a roller derby team too, because he was so good at everything he did. So Harvey's a good friend of ours, so we can rib him a little bit on this show. But
There you go. That's who you rib, is the ones that are your friends.
yeah,
That's right. And you want them to hear you. You don't want to rib them when they're not there. You want them actually to hear you. It's no fun if they can't sell it.
Yeah, right. If you don't get to see it, it's not fun.
That's right. Yeah.
And I can remember what I got a rib pulled on me, and I can't remember, the guy poured water in my bag while I was out at the ring, and I came back and there's just water everywhere. Well, what he didn't realize is I came up in the Pacific Northwest in its heyday, and I was basically the little sister, and somehow Sandy tricked me into becoming a wrestler. I mean, I had never even thought about it. And anyway, I found out one of the guys whispered in my ears as to who it was, and the next night at the matches, mysteriously his boots got super glued to the ceiling.
wow, good for you.
That's the best rib. I used to love when guys something will get super glued to something, and this is the
Oh
best
yeah, super glued the zipper shut when their boots and gear was still in it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. So Sandy being Sandy Barr, I'm assuming there, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
okay, take it. So okay, you're in school now. Your grandparents, you're watching wrestling with your grandparents. What did you at the time think this is what I want to be? And if so, how did you make that step over to and becoming a professional wrestler?
Well, I got tricked. Sandy Barr tricked me into becoming a wrestler. No,
Well,
no lie.
how did you meet Sandy in the beginning? Though?
Well, I started going to the matches. I moved to Portland when I was 14 and got my own place. And I started going to the matches when I was about 15, 16 after I got everything settled. And I started going to the matches, and I dressed up. And the first night that I wore a dress to the matches, I gave Sandy my $5. He handed me my $5 back and handed me a ticket. And it was front row. And I said, I think you gave me the wrong ticket. He says, no, that's your seat from now on.
Wow.
And could not figure out why I kept having wrestlers drop on the ground right in front of me. But that's another story.
Yeah.
And I had been working at the Denny's on 23rd and Burnside in Portland, and I had an incident with one of the district managers, and I quit that Saturday morning, and I go to the matches. I asked Sandy, I said, you got a job for me? I need a job. He said, yeah, grab a broom. And now I'm standing there in a dress with high heels on. And I said, okay, I can't do that tonight. He said, all right, be here 7 o'clock the next morning. Well, I soon found out that from Friday night until Sunday night, none of the employees of Sandy Barr's slept. We broke down the ring, set up the flea market, put the ring back up. And Sandy one day came to me and he said, look, you do know I run a school for wrestling. And I didn't. But he said, you know, I've got this girl who wants to train, but I can't have her train with the guys. He said, I need a body. I need a body for her to learn to wrestle. And of course, being me, I said, well, how much does it pay?
And you're only 14, 15 years old at this time, too, right?
I was about, by that time, I had turned 16.
Okay.
And so I go down there, I'm wrestling, I'm the body for this girl. And then one night she didn't show up. And the next night she didn't show up because Sandy, we didn't train just one day a week. We trained 6 and 7 days a week. Sometimes in the morning and in the afternoon. But I started I was sitting there, I was wrestling, and by this time I had the bug. And I thought to myself, I said, wait a minute. I said, Sandy, and I was having a conversation in my own head. I said, Sandy wouldn't let her work with the guys, train with the guys, but here I am training with the same guys. And like I said, by then it was all over. I was hooked. I was hooked. Going from being a wrestling fan to a wrestler is probably, people dream of that kind of stuff. And me coming up when I came into wrestling, I mean, Buddy Rose, Ed Wiskowski, Stan Stasiak, Dutch Savage, Roddy Piper, that was the crew that was there.
Wow, what a crew.
Oh, yeah, a motley crew to say the least. But
yeah, I
good. And Roddy Piper, Eric Embry. I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Most of them are gone now. But it was, I was blessed to come up at that time.
Yes. Because
none of the guys had a problem with Sandy training us. And once we got to a certain point in our training, Sandy would have one of the wrestlers come down for, like, say, 2 wrestling sessions. And the reason he told me that he did that was that nobody wrestles the same. You can come up trained in the same school, You can come up working against each other, but nobody wrestles the same. And he wanted us to get a feel of everybody. And then Velvet showed up from Canada, and Sandy got tired of me being late to training because I was on public transportation. And one Saturday night, one Sunday night, he says, I want you to go to your place. I want you to pack your gear and be ready by the time I get there. You're moving out. Well, Sherry was, bless her heart, she had me and Velvet and Art and Sean in the same house.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. And I chased Sean and Art out of Velvet and I's bedroom more times than I can count.
And Vicki, you mentioned something. I don't bring up anything, bad. I don't bring up anything you don't want to talk about. But you were at 14 years old. You were on your own in an apartment.
Yes, sir. It was. Wow. If you read my book, and I'm going to give you fair warning, the first 70 pages are rough. Right. But I did it for a reason, and I actually saw it come to where a gentleman DM'd me and said he had just finished my book and that it changed his whole world. And the reason that I wrote it the way I wrote it was because I wanted to show people, because I had, as a child, had tried to commit suicide more times than I can count due to my home life. And I wanted to let people know, look, yes, it's this bad right now, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Look where I was and look where I am now.
Right.
I wanted to give people hope. Yeah. Because there's a lot of kids out there that are being abused.
Yeah.
And Mick Foley is probably turned into one of my favorite wrestlers when he was at CAC this last one, when he supports the abused kids. He works with the abused kids, and he donates most of his, from what I understand, most of his profit goes to this oh shoot, what's the word of this? No, don't get old.
Foundation or foundation,
right?
That's it. Foundation. This foundation that he runs, most of his money goes into there. And that was, to me, that just put him over in my book.
Sure.
Because a lot of people don't realize just how bad it is out there.
Right.
They say 1 out of 4 kids has reported being assaulted by a family member. And that's just the ones that have spoken out about it. And like I said, there's times when, it's just really hard to see that the sun's going to come up the next day. And that's why I wrote it the way I did. And if you read it, you'll know.
Yeah.
Like I said, the first 70 pages are my childhood, and I left home at 14.
Wow.
With a suitcase and went to the Greyhound bus station and ended up in Portland.
Yeah, you not only left home, but you left your country too, right? You were in Canada and you went to the U.S. or what?
No, the Canada was part of the gimmick.
Okay.
Okay, I'm originally from Washington State. I was born in Goldendale. Okay. But when I left home,
you literally changed states at 14 years old on your own. That's phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's an amazing story, Vicky. Just besides the wrestling, it's an incredible story. At age 14, though, it's just incredible to me. At age 14, I couldn't have done anything like you did.
And a girl and a female on top of
That's right. And
it.
you got a suitcase, you get an apartment. How in the world do you get an apartment and all this stuff at age 14? Because at age 14, I couldn't even have my own bicycle.
And let
well,
alone that you're 70 now and you can't even do it,
That's
ride a
right.
bicycle.
It's not funny.
um, I I woke up. I had left home before I was 14, and Sylvia, my biological mother, made a deal with me that she would write a note, because this was back in the days where you didn't have everything that's going on. We're talking 40 years, 50 years ago. Oof. And she wrote a note for me that said I was 16, and the only thing I had to do was make sure that when DHS came calling, that I was there, because she was still collecting money for me from the government. And I started out, like I said, 14. I started working at Denny's. And by then I was going to the matches every Saturday night. And there was one, I lasted, the first time I lasted a little bit over a year at Denny's. And on my, I was such a mark. I got on a Greyhound bus and I mapped out the matches for the next week. And I went to a match every night of those 7 days.
Wow.
Running on a Greyhound. And
Wow.
well, and that's when the guys started, kind of realizing, and they took care of me, just like they did when I was in the business. I remember I was sitting on the aisle, and Buddy came out of the dressing room, and he was walking, and all of a sudden he stopped, and he looked at me. He said, "She's everywhere."
Now, this is also remarkable. You're 14, 15 years old, and you're getting on a Greyhound bus by yourself, and you're going to these matches by yourself, and then traveling back or staying in hotels. This is pretty incredible.
Well, I tell everybody it was leave home or die, because the way that I ended up leaving the last time from Sylvia's was she was charging me $25 a week to sleep on her couch. And then
your own biological mother was charging you $25? Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
that's 50 years ago. She's charging you $25. That's a decent chunk of change, especially for a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, I can thank my grandmother and grandfather for that. They put the work ethic in my head. I mean, the first job I can remember having was I was picking strawberries. And I swear to this day that I ate more strawberries than I picked. And then when I got handed my first check, Grandma took me to the local pharmacy, and that was back in the day when they had the counters and the spin around stools. You could eat there and all that. Yeah. And she cashed my check, or at least I thought she did. And I got that $10 and change, and we hit the yard sales. If you didn't have to buy something new, Grandma was like me. My husband used to say that I could pinch a penny so tight that Washington cried in pity for Abe. But she gave me my work ethics, and it stuck. Having your own money just stuck with me.
Right. And so then Sandy decides to get you out of your apartment because you got public transportation, which is obviously probably very unreliable, right?
Very, very.
And he moves you in with Sherry, is that right?
Well, Sherry and Sandy, um, of course, husband and wife, and then Art and Sean, the two boys, and then me and Velvet had our own room. And I chased them youngins out of my ring so many times. I think I grabbed a broom one time and chased them outside. They dove in the pool.
Hey, at least they're
But
persistent.
yeah. Oh, they were more than persistent.
I bet they were.
Those two boys, I miss them both. I really do. I miss them both. They were.
So Velvet McIntyre. So you guys went back to the beginning in your career. No wonder you were such a great tag team together. So where you guys are learning to train, who Sandy is in the ring with you, teaching you, and then he brings in the pros about once a week or something like that. And how long was it before you were able to get in? And were they smarting you up? Were they telling you, okay, it's a work, you do it this way, or how did that process go?
Oh, Sandy was evil, and I love him.
I've heard
I
that.
love him. It wasn't if you were going to throw up; it's when you were going to throw up, and which one of the 4 trash cans are you going to hit? Because there was a trash can on all 4 sides of the ring, and there was one day that Magnum TA, Terry Allen, a very good friend of mine, was working out. And at the Chautauqua Sports Arena, here's the ring, and then across the room is a big door, like an 18-wheeler could come through. And Sandy had opened the door, and Sandy had worked us so hard. I was leaning up against the rope, trying to hold myself up, and I looked over, and I literally saw steam coming off the top of Terry's head. That's how hard Sandy worked us. When it came down to the end, all the guys quit. Me and Velvet stuck doing it, And what I didn't know until a couple years ago was that they had what they called the crow's nest. Then that's where Frank Bonema did all the interviews and all. Well, from the ring, if the lights were on the ring, you couldn't see the crow's nest, who was in it. And I found out that Sandy would have the guys come down and critique us while we were training. And Luke Williams was the one who finally let that cat out of the bag.
Luke's such a good guy. I loved Luke. What a fun, pleasant individual.
Him and Butch scared the snot out of me when I was young. But yeah, he is. And it's so strange that Butch is gone because those two guys were joined at the hip.
Yeah. I just saw Luke 2 weeks ago over here at a signing we did up in Luch, Florida for Barry Rose, my friend Barry Rose there, and he's looking great, feels great, and just that same personality, outgoing, just really a good guy to be around. I love Luke to death.
Well, we went to do on Vice TV. It was me, Luke, and I want to say Ben Masters. Also the grappler one, Len Denton.
Len Denton, yes.
Yeah, it was Luke was here, Len Denton was here, and I think it was either Ben Masters. I know his last name was Masters, and I can't remember his first name right now. But I came into the motel, got off the plane, got taken to the motel. And the first thing I noticed was the lawn ornament was a Porsche.
The Porsche Hotel.
Yes, they had a Porsche as a lawn ornament because the main office for Porsche was right across the street.
Wow.
And I went in there, and as everybody pretty much does, you get your key, you sign in, you drop your bags, and you go down to the restaurant or the bar because that's where everybody met up. And I would say, a good 30 feet away from Luke. And he jumped out of his chair. And I didn't even think Luke knew who I was. And he gave me an old fashioned daddy bear hug. And it was just, and then he sat down and he says, and he was telling Bret Hart, Bobby Bass, he was telling Bret and Bass that he had, and this is where I found out, he had watched us while we were training. And these girls paid their dues. And that was probably the best compliment you could give me. Is for,
that's gotta feel good. Yeah, it's gotta feel good when you hear that.
Oh yeah, especially with one of my elders, you know.
Yeah.
Talk about a legend. He'll go on. You'll be hearing about Luke and Butch 100 years from now.
For sure, and rightfully so too. So, when was your first match? How long did you go doing that training and before you had your first official match?
We probably trained 8 months.
Wow.
And we had and Sandy was not like the trainers today. Like I said, he was weeding out. He wanted the ones with the most heart, the ones who wanted to really become a wrestler and was really willing to put the time in. And it just, like I said, it ended up just me and Velvet. And then to find
Velvet McIntyre, for those who don't know.
Yes, sir. She's in Agassiz, Canada, BC right now. That's where she lives. We had Sandy. After we trained with Sandy, our first match was 10 minutes, and that was the longest 10 years and 10 minutes I had ever spent in my life.
I know the feeling. And so does John, probably.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, your nerves get to you. And Sandy was bent on me jumping over the top rope to get in the ring. And I didn't like it. But the first match I came in and I went to jump in the ring and I was so nervous that my palms were sweating and my right arm, as I'm getting ready to go over, my right arm slipped. And somehow I did a Lanny Poffo. You know, when Lanny had his elbow on the turnbuckle and then stretched his body out across the top rope. That's exactly. And I'm sitting there thinking, all right, how am I going to get out of this without, falling down and making a fool of myself? But that was the last time I jumped over the top rope.
I don't blame you.
And right away, did you start working regularly? Was that once you broke the seal and got into wrestling? Was that automatically then you're working every week?
Oh yeah, and this was old school working. This was 7 days a week, sometimes 8. You could have work in the afternoon at the fairgrounds, then go to the high school and wrestle. And when Velvet and I, our first match was for Ed Moretti in Idaho. And we hung around in Ed's territory for a little while. Then John Owens kept us, and he kept us a lot longer. I mean, he tried to work us into everything. Velvet, something had messed up in Velvet's green card, and she had to go back home to get things straight, so it was just me. Well, this was right at the end of the great Roddy Piper, Buddy Rose feud. And there was going to be an 8-man battle royal in Salem, which is where I was living at the time. And I'm sorry, not me. My biological mother and the kids were living. And we did the interviews, of course, Buddy's up I'm up there and I'm talking about, I'm not just a woman, I'm a professional wrestler, la da 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 da. And here comes Buddy. And he pulls the typical Buddy Rose. Only place a woman needs to be is in the kitchen and in the bedroom, barefoot and pregnant. Well, of course, the next thing, of course, was I kicked him in his privates. And Buddy sold it. And you could have bought me for a nickel. He literally hit the ground. And to this day, Buddy Rose is what made me. Him, I found out that in the 8-man battle royal, I was supposed to be the first one out. Well, it ended up, I was second to last. And Buddy Rose and Rip Oliver, that's one I forgot, Rip Oliver, grabbed me by the arms. And this was an old theater old theater that had the brick walls and all in the stage. And they took and threw me into the brick wall. And at that moment, when I hit that wall, that crowd roared. They wanted to kill Buddy. My brother came out, and he was 15 at the time. He came out, and he stood across me because I was bleeding. And he doubles up his fist and perfect boxing stance, because I had been training him, because bless his heart, he had problems with the big kids in school. And he stood there and he said, "You touch her one more time, USOB, and I'll kill you." And I'm laying down, and this is my brother on top of me, trying to protect me. And I had to let Sandy and the security guards take my brother Doug out of the stage.
Wow.
Well, I didn't want to smarten him up. I didn't want to take that away from him.
That's old school. That's old school there, Vicky.
Well, that's the way I felt. I didn't want, I didn't lose it because I was on the inside and all that. And now I'm like a sponge soaking up. I'm outside the dressing room watching every match and all that. But I didn't want to take that away from my family, because they really loved wrestling too. So I had to have the big sis talk with my brother. And I told him, I said, "Look, this is my job. This is what I do. You cannot touch another wrestler ever again."
That's awesome. That is a great
That's
story.
A pretty brave kid, though, at age 15 years old, to get there against an old tough.
Oh, yeah. Well, he saw his sister being hurt.
Yeah.
And
that courage comes around.
But it had to help. It played out perfectly, right? I mean, you couldn't have played much better.
No. And when I got downstairs, there we go. Who was that? Who was that? And I said, "That's my brother Doug." And I wished I could have taken him downstairs to hear the guys talking about him, but I couldn't.
Right.
And that's probably the only regret I have in wrestling, is that I was not able to take him downstairs and show him what the guys thought of him.
When did you tell him later, or did you ever tell him later?
Never.
Nope.
Wow.
Never told.
I love it.
Never told him. Nope. No, this was back in the day with kayfabe,
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Yes.
So
yes, he lives in.
He's going to be really.
We're going to smart him up now.
Yeah, he's going to be really mad at you.
Doug, get to work. Doug, get to work.
We're sorry, Doug. Doug, we're sorry.
Don't listen. Doug, don't listen to them. They're lying.
I got a similar story. My sister-in-law is full-blood German, never seen a professional wrestling match in her life. And she married my older brother, Gene, who was in the Air Force. And so when he brought her over to the United States, Jack was wrestling in Dallas. He was wrestling Fritz Von Erich. Of course, my brothers are brand new guys, and Fritz is going to beat the hell out of the newbie. So Fritz is just beating the hell out of my brother. Well, my sister-in-law, who's full-blood German, runs down the ringside gets his up on the apron and starts cussing Fritz von Erich in Germany. Fritz don't know a word of German.
That's great. And that's his gimmick. And
that's his gimmick. And she chased him all the way out of the arena and went back to the dressing room and Jack, who is that lady? I didn't want to hurt her. Well, if you was laying a hand on her, she would have hurt you, believe me. But
right.
But Jack never smartened her up. We never smartened her up after that.
No. To me, that would have been stealing something from them. And I wouldn't ever do that because I love to watch people's faces, watching wrestling. When you've got a good match and you're able to pull that crowd into that ring, and they're wrapped up in the story and you can see it with their eyes. That's the best sight I can say that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Were there many women to wrestle with back then? I mean, because it just seemed like when I started not a lot later than you did, but when I did, there weren't many women went around. They kind of just wrestled each other. They went around the territories kind of together. There just weren't a lot of women. Did you have many women to wrestle?
No, it was pretty much in the Pacific Northwest. It was me and Velvet. We wrestled each other. Velvet even went into her hometown as a heel.
Wow.
That was Velvet.
Yeah.
We had a chemistry going, when we were wrestling each other, and then when we started tag teaming together, it just grew. The chemistry just grew. Velvet and I were so synchronized that, all she had to do was touch me somewhere, and I knew where she was going with it. I knew exactly.
Isn't that fantastic when you have that relationship with some opponent in there, and you don't even have to talk. Just your body motion can let you know where they're going.
Well, there's one that with Judy Martin, and it's on YouTube. And we had never done this, and I had Judy's right arm in an arm lock, and then I rolled over her back and give her an arm whip by the left arm, and she went with it like we'd done it a million times. Judy and Leilani and Wendy, Velvet, let's see, it was Judy, Leilani, Velvet, Wendy Richter, and I'm missing somebody. But, Joyce Grable, of course.
Oh,
Those
sure.
5 women, being on the road with them and being in the ring with them, that was a vacation. I mean, when we walked out to the ring, we knew what what the first move was going to be, what the high spot was going to be, and the finish. And that's all we knew. The rest of it, that's how we wrestled. I mean, we had the psychology back then. If something wasn't working, then we switched to something else. Unfortunately, we found out that the crowd loved to see me get beat up.
Yeah.
Damn it,
Before we leave Oregon here, I got to ask you this question. We asked all the guys that come on. We've had several guys from Oregon come on. Did Elton Owens ever come up to you guys and offer you the shoot money, or was that just for the guys?
Yeah, no. Me and Velvet did it.
You're kidding me.
Me and Velvet did it. No, we're not.
Kidding me. Elton paid you guys to shoot?
Says, I need you and Velvet. If you go out there and shoot the first 3 minutes, whoever wins the shoot, I'll give them $50. Wow. Well, we both went home with 25.
That is awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh, Elton was something else.
Now, everybody comes to Portland. Did Elton never figure out that the boys and girls were working him?
Nope.
And he was right there at ringside, right?
Right.
That's
right.
Crazy.
That was Elton.
Tell
Him and that big
Vicky, tell the
stogie.
story kind of right quick for the fans that are listening that haven't heard this before. Tell kind of what Elton would do.
What Elton would do is he would come up to, you know, uh, people that were going into the ring, like me and Velvet or Rick Oliver and all of that. And he would say that he wanted us to shoot. And of course, Greco-Roman wrestling, which Sandy taught me, and Velvet. And the winner would get $50. And
Where your normal payoff, as you said, was 25, but you had double the payoff.
right. Well, no, they weren't that cheap. Elton was cheap, but he wasn't that cheap. I don't believe it or not, I don't remember ever having a payday less than $50 from anybody in the Pacific Northwest.
I do. You're glad you weren't in Texas.
And
oh, Lord. But
so he offers you guys this money, but then does he go to both opponents and say the same thing, or how does he do this?
Yeah, no, we're sitting there and he's talking to us with both of us there.
Okay.
He says, I want you to go shoot. Whoever wins gets $50. Well, I didn't care if I won or lost. I was going to get $25 one way or the other.
And then the boys would just work the match. Now, for those that don't know, this is Don Owens' brother, Elton Owens. Elton would pay the guys to shoot, and because he loved to watch the shoot. And apparently, there was never a shoot; it was always a work. And Elton,
it was always a work.
It out.
Nope,
I love it.
Elton never figured it out. It was Elton was Elton. I mean. He'd walk in and say, you're going over, blah, 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 or he'd send Rip in to let us know. And then he was done. He'd sit there, smoke his stogie and watch the matches or go back to his office. Elton treated us all, well, the Owens family treated us all very well.
I always heard that was a fantastic territory because of Don and Elton Owens, and that's the great thing about our business back in our day, the territorial days. There were all these characters. I mean, it wasn't just a promoter. It was a promoter assistant or a guy that handled another town for the main promoter. They were all characters in their own right. So you were all the time dealing with unique characters.
Yeah, and that's one thing I see today that really gets to me is people are too much alike in the ring. Yeah. I mean, when you look at where I came up in the Pacific Northwest, in fact, just look at the 5 girls I mentioned. None of us were the same, not even close.
And they're all Hall of Famers in their own right, too.
Yeah, yeah, and going on the road with the girls, Wendy, Judy, Leilani. I mean, that was, like I said before, that was a vacation. I mean, we spent the first hour trying to figure out who Moola was working and trying to, Moola liked to put us girls against each other. She had the divide and conquer type thing. But she didn't realize as soon as we got in the car, headed off the property, we all started, right. And and there's a story there, oh my Lord. I told Patty I was going to tell this, and she giggled. I was living behind Moo's house at the property, and Moo invited me over for dinner one day. And she said, I hope you like squirrel stew. Well, when you come from the background that I come from, if it don't eat you, you eat it. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I look up, and here's Katie boiling this big chicken for Moola's dog. Now, the dog's getting chicken, and I'm eating squirrel.
She fed her dogs well, at least.
Yeah.
She that dog was like her kid.
Yeah. So take
You
us.
know,
Okay, you finish up with the Owens brothers in Oregon. What's your first move out when you decide it's time to make a move national?
well, we worked with Ed, then Don had us work with him, and that was, Lord, at least 3 months the first time. Then we went to work for Elton, or not Elton, Al Tomko at All Star Wrestling. Then we came back and we worked a short 2 week stint. I believe it was 2 weeks with
All Star
Don,
Wrestling. Where was our All Star out
British Columbia.
of? BC. Okay, great.
Yeah, Vancouver, BC. Um, and then we did another turn with John, and that's where I got into the 8 man over the top battle royal and all that. And Sandy come to Velvet and I one day, and he said, "Look, girls," he said, "I can't get you booked. I can't get you booked anywhere else because the only way that you're going to get booked is if you go down to Moose." And that's
And so
what we did.
at that time, Vicky, that's when Moola had complete control over the booking of the women's wrestling, right? Just about every
Oh
territory.
yeah. She had. If you didn't work for Lillian, you didn't work for anybody.
Yeah. So how was that transformation booked? How did you guys finally make that move?
Sandy called Moola. Moola said, "Be here on, send them down." Velvet got there, but I took a 2 week side trip to see a friend of mine in Charlotte. And from what I understand, and I'm going to clean it up as much as possible, Lillian kept going, "Where's that Indian? Where's that blankety blank Indian?"
Okay,
And
wait, stop right there. How did you get that name first? I want to know how you got your name.
Princess, actually, I was named by Sandy Barr.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a French girl, and this kind of ties in with the Fritz story. He said, "Can you speak?" I had my name all picked out, the whole 9 yards.
What was
And
it?
he said, "Misty LaFleur."
Okay.
LaFleur in French means the flower.
Okay.
And he says, "Well, can you speak French?" I said, "No." He said, "Then how can you be a French girl if you can't speak French?"
You can't speak
He said,
Native
"You're
American.
right." Well, a lot of Indians can't speak Native American these days. Need to go
Mr.
back.
Brisco can barely speak English.
Yeah.
But it
That's only on my good days too.
right. Well, and then Sandy says, "You're an Indian." And I said, "Yeah," because at that time, up until 3 weeks ago, I believed I was Indian. That's what I was told by my mother. And when it was time to start getting my gear together, if you watch my earlier matches, the pink headdress Jay Youngblood gave to me, which his dad gave to him, the vest, the skirt, the moccasin boots, they all came out of my closet. That's who I was anyway. And Sandy said, "It's easier to be yourself. Just be yourself. Be an Indian." He said, "Because you can't mess that up." And Velvet, she was, I think she is really Irish, but her red hair is truly red. So that says a lot.
Yeah. So you're in Charlotte now, and Moola's pissed because you're not in Columbia, South Carolina. So
yeah, she's running around, and I heard it from more than one girl. Where's that blankety blank Indian? And Velvet was getting upset because she was already there and she was wondering where I am.
yeah.
Well, there were no cell phones at that time, and Velvet didn't have a phone, and I didn't know Lillian's phone number. And so we ended up, when I finally showed up, needless to say, Moo was a little cool.
You
Where
started
you
off
been?
on the wrong path of Moola right away.
Oh yeah. Oh, she used them gates at Moola Drive. She used to lock those gates after a certain time. So if you were out after 10 o'clock, she'd lock the gates. I just park my dang car and climb through the gate and go to my room. But yeah, Moola didn't like us being out, and see, that's another issue that Moola had, was that I was very independent. You know,
Well, you should be. You were on your own at 14 years old. I mean, now you're a little grown up, and you got to be on your own.
well, I tell everybody, looking back on my life, looking back on breaking my neck in the ring, uh, how everything fell in line. Some people ask me, it would have been, you would have been this or that if you hadn't broke your neck. And I tell them, no regrets. I said, because if I hadn't broke my neck, I was headed on my way up. Me and Velvet were headed on our way up. If I hadn't broke my neck, I'd have never met my first husband, who's the father of my son, which means I would have never had my son. I would have had a child, but not my boy. And I would have never met Jack, my husband, who passed away in 2008. So I have no regrets whatsoever. Yeah, I miss the road. It'd be nice to be on the road again, but it is
So
what it is.
yeah, it is what it is. So when you finally got to South Carolina, there, Moola was real cold towards you. And, did she try to punish you, or what was it?
Oh no, Moola never got. I never was. The only time I was ever in the ring with Moola is when we were doing a show. Donna Cristantello, Wendy Richter, Joyce Grable. Yeah, Donna, that was our mama. Donna, bless her soul.
I love Donna, and she was everybody's mom back in those days.
Yeah, she was, and she took care of us. But she'd get in the ring with us, but Moola never did. Every once in a while, Moola would come out and sit on the chair and watch, but she never got in the ring. I got trained. She charged me. Moola charged me $1,000 because I needed to be retrained.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, that was Moola.
Yeah.
That was Moola. That's all about the money.
Did you guys know at the time? Because in hindsight, a lot of people have said they kind of resented Moola's oppressiveness and monopoly on the women's business. Did you guys at the time have some resentment toward that? And did anybody articulate that to each other about it?
No, nobody that I know of really complained about it. But I'm sure that, we had one choice.
It's just
you either work for Moola. You work for Moola or you don't work. I mean, by this time, Cora Combs had gone into retirement. Debbie Combs was doing her bond work like she does now. She chases runners. And pretty much there was really nobody else unless they were at Moola's camp, and it limited your choices. You had one choice.
Wow.
And from that, I mean, did you ever think that Moola was giving you you're not giving you your fair share? Lolana brought up one time on the show last week, which was just fantastic, and big huge shout out to Lolana for getting us to you. But she mentioned that she had heard from Arnie Skoland through a wall that he'd given Moola $150 for guys per week, and then Moola turned around, didn't know that they had heard that, said, "Well, I got $50 a week for you guys." Did you guys ever think at the time that Moola might be skimming more than she said she was? I say more than she said she was because she was taking a set percentage, obviously, but taking more than that.
Well, I mean, later on, 2018, Judy spoke up that I believe it was Arnold gave her copies of her old checks. And see, we all had a book to where we wrote down the miles and all that, keeping track. Whoever was driving got 5 cents a mile, all that kind of stuff. And Judy got copies of some checks, and she went back to her book. Yes, Moola was taking the 25%, but she would take, there have been times she's taken half of what we made because we never saw the checks. She had taken half of what we made. Say we made $500. Well, she'd tell us we made 200 and then take 25% off then. And Judy had actually approached a lawyer about it, had all the proof, and he said, yeah, and he said, you've got a case, but you can't afford it. You cannot afford to go up against Moola's lawyers. It's not going to happen. Moola did a lot of things, and some of the things that she did, I kind of tell everybody this. I break Lillian Ellison over here as the booker. Over here is Moola the wrestler. I respect, and I have no choice but to respect Moola the wrestler, because she came up hard in this business. When you're talking about she was wrestling in 1949, right? And she came up there. I have to respect that. Moola the booker, I have absolutely no respect for her whatsoever. She was a thief, and to me, I didn't realize I was being ripped off, because you're talking about I had went from waiting tables making $235 an hour plus tips to now I'm making $10,000 a year. I mean, that's the way it was. And I never questioned her. I don't think anybody did until Judy got those checks.
Right.
And unfortunately, because
Well,
of
you really had no way of knowing until Judy got the checks, right?
Exactly, we didn't, because Moola would forge our names on the checks and then deposit them. Yeah. Now I broke my neck in '84. First week in September of '84, I broke my neck. I never wrestled another match after that. And Moola basically, all right, you're 3 months behind in your rent. I want that outfit, and that outfit, and those 2 pair of boots to pay your rent.
Wow.
And you need to find a job and start paying your own rent. And basically, she threw me to the wolves. I left there with my Chevy Malibu filled with what I could put in it, and hit the road. I had $20 in my pocket.
And
when
probably
I left.
a few 100,000 miles on the Malibu too, huh?
Well, I can tell you there was one night, we were wrestling for Bill Watts, and we were in Alexandria, Louisiana at the high school. Moola calls us up the day before, me, calls me up because I was road mama because I had the car, and says, all right, well, you have to be in Tampa day after tomorrow to wrestle for the Grams. It is 821 miles from the high school in Alexandria to the hotel in Tampa. And I will never forget that number. Moola didn't. I don't want to. Part of me really wants to hate Moola, but I can't. Because number one, that's not me, and it's wasted time.
I respect that so much.
Well, like I said, you have to respect Moola the wrestler.
Right.
We've
all worked with the promotions guys like that. I know I've had a few of them myself that, as a person, as a man, I have no respect for, but as a performer or a promoter, I have respect for. So we all have those.
Right. Yeah. Well, and see, Moola, in my opinion, and everybody's got one, Moola could not step out of the limelight. If she had stepped back, let the girls that she had, because she had the girls I've mentioned time and time again,
the best.
And all she had to do was sit behind her desk and take bookings.
And count her money.
And count her money, but she couldn't do that.
Right.
She couldn't let go of the spotlight. And I think it hurt her in the long run.
Yeah. Did you enjoy your time there, though, when you were there with Moola? Did you enjoy your time there with the other ladies?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where I met Sherry Martell the first time. Sherry lived to the left of Moola. I lived behind Moola, and we'd meet at the dock. And we'd tie a 6-pack of beer with a rope and drop it down into the lake.
I've done that just a few times.
Just a few times, right?
Just a few times. Yeah. Yes.
And then I made the mistake one time of letting Katie have 2 beers. She was good with one.
Now, Katie, is that Dagmar?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
The Dagmar's a little person.
A little person, yeah.
Oh, I love her. She's.
I did too. What a sweetheart.
I'd fight Andre before I'd fight Katie.
So the second beer put her over the limit, right?
Oh, yeah. And she opened the door, and 5 minutes later, you could hear Moola all the way out to the dock. And it was a good 100 yards from the house to the dock. And from then on, I only gave Katie 1 beer. Katie was good, though. She didn't sell me out.
Yeah.
Where did you get?
There had to be like a crazy scene, though. You've got all these lady wrestlers, the fabulous Moola, and the little person. They're all at the same place with a cooler of beer, a 6-pack of beer on a rope in the bottom of the lake. I mean, that's a pretty cool scene that you have going on right there.
Well, and then me and Sherry got to know each other really well. And it broke my heart when I found out she had passed away, because she was such a good lady.
Yeah.
And
now, was Mae Young around at that time, and what type of person was Mae in the compound?
I never met Mae Young. I never saw her at the property. Yeah. Never. Now, of course, towards the end, before I broke my neck, I mean, I was on the road, 360 out of 365 days a year. Yeah. I can remember one tour that Wendy and I went on. I think we were on the road for 4 months straight, never saw South Carolina.
Wow.
But
did you start the South Carolina place when you went up to Stampede Wrestling? So you kept the place there.
Right.
Okay.
And here's one for you. Now, she either had 2, 3, or 4 girls living in these. She had bought these houses that Fort Jackson had for the guys. Well, they were upgrading. So Moola bought these houses. Now, you're talking 1980. Each girl in the house, whether it was 1 girl, 2 girls, or 4 girls, paid $300 a piece by the month. Now, you got 4 girls in one house, and that's $1,200
For
in
1980, that's a hell of
1980.
a rent. Yeah, that's a hell of a rent. Well, Moola
Yeah, and
was a great business lady.
yeah, she was. I wish she would have stuck more towards the booking end of it, but you know, that was Moola. You know, she took care of Katie. I believe May Young is right across the hall from her, from Moola's. What do they call it? Where Moola's buried.
Yeah.
Oh, mausoleum, I think.
Mausoleum. That's it. That's the word. Thank you, sir. And Katie has a place in the mausoleum.
Yeah.
So when she passes away, Katie will be buried with Moola.
Wow.
So yeah, and Katie, she's getting up there now. Of course, from what I heard, she's just as mean as she was when I was around.
She was always a character. Guys loved having her around because she was right there with the guys all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's my Katie. She was something else. And when she got drunk off 2 beers, I mean, you're talking to somebody like me, 2 beers, I'm going 2 beers. I mean, and then when I heard the screaming, everything kind of connected. Little person, let's wait. Don't ever give her 2 beers again. I mean, and then we were all pulling ribs on each other, of course.
To tell us
I
some
guess
of the famous, tell us a few of the famous girl ribs, because you always hear about the guys ribbing each other. You never hear about the girl ribs. Let's share us with it.
well, there was one night that, and I can't. It wasn't Velvet. I think it was Susan Starr, Susan Nye, dressed up in a trench coat and a hat, and had a butcher knife. And I had fallen asleep on the couch, and my door creaked open. I mean, just like one of those freaky horror stories, creaked open. And here's this person, I can't see their face, and they've got this huge butcher knife. And I knew immediately it was a rib. I said, well, I guess today's a good day to die, ain't it? But she went around to all the new girls and did this to them. And, there weren't a lot of ribs on the property because Moola wouldn't stand for it, but when we got on the road, that's when it started happening. We had fun. I mean, it was being on the road with the crew that I came up with. I mean, I'm blessed in coming up in Pacific Northwest and coming up with Judy and Leilani and Wendy and Velvet. I hit it just right to be at both places. And at times, like I said earlier, at times I really do miss being on the road. But it is what it is.
Well, I think we all miss those times. I don't know if it's so much being on the road as it is your companionship that you had with each other, and
That's
because
it.
you just become so close to somebody when you're traveling 600 miles with somebody and you're sitting there, you start talking personal stuff. You become friend for life like that, and that's the great thing about traveling on the road that we all experience.
Right. And there were times that some of us got in little fights, not
Yeah,
physical
of course,
fights, but
yeah.
and
That still happens
How
sometimes.
how would you how would you handle that? I mean, when you did have any physical fights? I mean, or were they just all?
oh no, the only physical fight I ever had was with Elizabeth Chase. And I was sitting in the house, I had my coffee, and Moola comes in and she's stomping. She said, "Come here." And she took me into the barn, and here's Liz Chase, and she is making short work of the girls. Moola said, "Can you take her?" I said, "Of course I can take her. How do you want me to take her? You want me to take her street? You want me to take her wrestling? You want me to take her Greco-Roman? What do you want me to do?" She said, "I don't care what you do. Just stop her from hurting my girls." And then she paid me back by sending me to Japan for 2 months with Elizabeth Chase.
Oh wow!
And I got to go through roid withdrawal with Elizabeth Chase. And they ended up putting us in separate rooms because Liz was just slightly crazy.
Slightly.
Slightly. She came, there was one day I woke up to her screaming at the top of her lungs, and I'm the leader. Liz is the new girl. I gotta be a grown up. And so I get my stuff together. I don't say a word, get my stuff together, go downstairs and just wait for the cab to come up. Well, Liz comes down and she seems all right then, and we're in the cab, and all of a sudden she starts screaming again. And the worst thing you can do to me is scream at me. And so you've been to Japan. I know you saw the line roads. Well, we were in this cab headed towards Poppy's to the office to get on the bus, and Liz starts screaming again. And I was speaking broken Japanese by then. I told the cabbie to stop and let me out, and I got out and I walked the last 3 miles to the office.
Wow.
Well, it was better than listening to Liz. And so I get on the bus. Liz is in our seats, and and I'm talking to Mimi, and all of a sudden you hear this blood curdling scream, and I turn around and here's Liz, and she literally has an umbrella like this, charging me with it.
Oh boy!
And I'm not going to lie, I have no idea how I did it. I guess I just went into survival mode, but I ended up with Liz in front of me, and I had the umbrella right here. And I said, "Are we done? Is it over? Go sit down." And then I was in the seat behind her, and I put my earphones in and, was listening to the Eagles and reading a book at the same time. And I caught this movement, and here comes Liz over the back of the chair. She is dive bombing me over the chair. And somehow I got my thumb in this side of her eye and this finger in the other side of her eye, and I'm clicking my fingernails behind her eye.
Ooh.
And I'm having to tell because now I'm upset. You know, I'm upset. I'm having to tell my hand, do not pull. And I led her back to her chair by her eye. And that was the last time that Liz and I shared a room.
Yeah,
Poppy
I wonder why.
decided, yeah, well, and what was bad was, I guess Mimi had went and told the girls what happened, but the girls started going back by me going, you bad, Vicky, you bad. And I'm going, bad, what did I do? And you bad, Vicky, you bad. And I went to Mimi. I said, Mimi, what have I done? They're all telling me I'm bad. She says, no, Vicky, they're not saying you bad. They're saying you bad.
I
But
think I would agree with you.
I love Japan. I really did. It was that was the only
Who did you
place.
work for in Japan?
Poppy, all girl wrestling.
And
It was
was that when the Jumping Bomb Angels were just getting kind of popular over there as well? Was that the same group?
no. The Jumping Bomb Angels weren't there. It was Devil Matsumi, um, Mimi Hagawara, Chico, and it was one of the Jumping Bomb Angels. The Jumping Bomb Angels didn't come into effect until after I broke my neck.
Right. And then what year was it you got? Because you broke your neck in '84, I believe. But what year was it that you end up in New York for WWF at the time?
82, 81, 82.
And were you there that entire time from '82 to '84 to when you?
Oh, we were all over the place. Wendy and I did one trip. We started out in New York, and I think we did a week or 2 weeks there. Then we went to Puerto Rico. We did a week there. Then we went to Santo Domingo, Trinidad, to Japan, and then back to Texas. I mean, we were just on the road constantly. Me, and the main ones were me, Velvet, Leilani, Wendy, Judy Martin, of course, and Joyce Grable. We were all on the road all the time. Once we started working for New York, it was like everybody wanted us. So
Right. And
you know,
you guys were the tag team champions in New York during that time.
well, Joyce and Wendy were the tag team champions, and we got the belts at Madison. Me and Velvet got the belts in Madison Square Garden.
That's pretty cool, isn't
And
it?
oh, yeah, I walked out there, and I mean, it was a full house. The number 40,000.
As a 14-year-old girl that broke in and way out in the Northwest there, and all of a sudden, here you are in the Mecca of Madison Square Garden. You got to look at yourself
Right.
as you're walking out that entrance and holy cow, this is something.
Well, if you look at that match where Velvet and I got the belts, you'll see me hook Velvet's arm, and we did a do-si-do.
Yeah.
And I told Velvet, I said, look at all these freaking people. And I was so nervous that I messed up the first move. But nobody can tell because that's the way we were, you know? Yeah. Wendy, of course, you know, things happen. You can't, if you talk over every match move by move, and then you miss a move, and I've seen it happen, then you got two guys standing there going, I don't know what to do.
Amen.
And Wendy, she just fell right in, you know. I mean, that's the way we were. She didn't even yell at me when we got back to the dressing room.
Well, you were champions. There's nothing to yell at.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, that's
Yeah,
one girl
you're
right
right.
there.
You're right.
That's one girl right there. Being on the road with Wendy, if she couldn't find a gym, she ran. If she couldn't run, she was doing push-ups and everything else in the motel. I mean, she earned that figure that she got, every bit of it. And I love being on the road with them. I mean, we just we all just kind of clicked, you know. And you started to ask me, about the first hour of the drive, especially when there was four of us in the car. It was, all right, so what did Moola tell you about me? Well, she figured if she kept us at each other, that we wouldn't figure out what was going on. And she was right,
Right.
you know?
So you mentioned earlier her whole philosophy was divide and conquer. So that was her MO all the way through with your
Yeah,
friendship.
yeah. Well, yeah. And I've got a lot of friends that, have great memories of Moola, and we don't argue about it. I tell them, I'm glad you had those memories, and let it go, because Moola was very good to some people and not so good to others. Um, uh, uh, Carmine Despota is one I think of. He met Moola when he was just a teenager,
Right, I don't come on.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and it was, he. I don't even mention Moola around him. We have talked it through. We've agreed to disagree.
Right.
And Carmine and I have a good friendship now
Yeah.
because he can do that. You know.
I'm going to ask you this question. It's kind of, well, I want you to answer, but all the flack that Moola's gotten, Moola's reputation in our business now is really soiled. Did you feel the same way about it? I know you separated Moola the talent and Moola the promoter, but it's hard to ignore all the news out there. How do you feel about that?
Well, with people saying that Moola gave him drugs, we went to the Bahamas. And at that time, I didn't know you could walk down the road. And yes, I smoked pot in the 80s. I didn't know you could walk down the street in the Bahamas and just pick pot plants. So
I
I
didn't
had
either.
snuck.
Mr.
I
Brisco
had
just booked a
snuck.
ticket to the Bahamas.
Right. That and Trinidad. Oh my God. You don't even
Well,
get
true.
hardly out. You land.
Well, you walk by the
And
cockpit in Trinidad, you can smell it. So.
right. But one of the boys, I can't remember the name of the promoter, brought some boys over, and me and this one guy, we just, sometimes you just get in the mood just to talk. And we were sitting down on the dock in the Bahamas. It was Nassau, I believe. And pretty soon I looked up. I said, Lord, the sun's coming up. We need to get back. Well, his boss got all over him, and he had some speed on him, which I never did. I never did speed. I smoked pot. Yes, I'll admit to that. But he blamed that on me. And I said, no, Moola. And I reached down out of my shoe and I said, this is what I brought with me. I thought she was going to kill me. She was totally, she said, you could have ruined everything. As far as quote unquote, pimping the girls out, I can't say that I've ever seen it. She sent me to Amsterdam to spend 2 weeks with Ernie Van Gilder, which I did, and it was discussed over the phone that this will be separate motel rooms. And I couldn't wait to get back home because that was the most aggravating man I've ever met. But as far as pimping girls out, no, I never saw that. So, and see, the thing is that I look at it, when they took her name off the, off the battle royal, the women's battle royal, and it was because Snickers said either you do this or we're not going to back you anymore. And yet, you look at football players, baseball players, hockey players, and you look at the things that they've been convicted of doing. Michael Vick is a perfect example. And they're not dropping their sponsorship behind football or anything like that. And I don't think that it was fair what they did to her. You know, I mean, we've all made mistakes in our lives. And I did not think it was fair to take her name off that battle royal. Like I said, I can separate the two people. And she has a spot in women's history, wrestling history, that only she could have filled.
And so it seems like what you're saying is the egregious stuff that people say. You say you never saw it. You have no idea. You certainly don't, according to, that it didn't happen, or at least you didn't know of it if it did happen. As far as maybe taking too much out of your pay, that's a separate issue. That wasn't what they were taking her out or name off the battle royal for. It's more the egregious stuff that appears perhaps to be unfounded.
But the main person that was accusing Moola of pimping out the girls is dead. And it was her sister, or it was either her two kids or her sister and brother that brought that up. And that's the only person I've ever heard say anything like that.
Right.
And
never heard that myself until that came up.
Jerry, you had never heard
well,
that?
I'd never heard about Moola pimping out the girls, and I was in two offices, and I two major offices, Florida and Georgia, and I never heard that. The pay I knew about because one day I've told you this story. When I was booking Florida, I'd make it out payroll. And I was making out payroll to the individual girls. Well, Duke come over, who was our main accountant, guy that overlooked everything, Duke Kim Mooka. And Duke said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm paying the girls." He said, "No, we pay Moola direct, and she pays the girls." And I go, "Well, that's kind of strange, but if that's the system, I didn't know anything about it, so I just erased the names and put it all under Moola." So I knew about that part, but I never knew about. I was kind of pissed off because I wasn't included in the pimping.
Right.
Or the weed in Bahamas.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't know about that.
Did you know how stupid I felt
Yeah.
when I got there, and I had this little tiny packet stuffed in the toe of my shoe, which you wouldn't even try today. And here's 10-foot pot plants all over the place. Like, that's it. Risk your freedom.
Well, I got a real close associate that was busted in the Bahamas because he forgot to take one out of his bag on the way when he came back, and as he was going over there, and as the custom guy was going through his bag, "Oh, what's this?" And I forgot about that. It cost him $10,000 to get out of it. So, and then to find out they're growing it on the street, I want the double standard there. I guess you can't bring it in, but you can grow it.
Right. Well, and that's like with here's one that I haven't told in a while. On this trip that me and Wendy went on in Santo Domingo, we both got Montezuma's revenge. And we're sitting at the table. They had canceled our matches for 3 days because the vice president had died. And I guess he was loved over there just as much as we, look up to JFK. And both Wendy and I are going, we're not drinking the water, you know, we're not doing anything. And her and I were sitting there just talking, and all of a sudden I shook my glass and the ice cubes hit the side of the glass. And we both looked down at our glasses and we walked over and poured them out. We didn't use them. I mean, who would even think about ice cubes?
Yeah.
But we didn't have ice cubes after that.
That's the worst when you realize you've done something that's probably going to make you very sick. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, you got to be kidding me. I cannot
Well,
believe
Right.
I did that.
Oh, we were
I've
so
done it before in
sick.
countries that you're not supposed to drink the water, and you go in there and you're not even thinking early in the morning. You get up and you're brushing your teeth in the sink. And go, oh, no, no, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because you just don't. That's everyday things that you do. When you can't drink the water, you find out just how many things we use water for.
Yeah. When I'm in Texas, I always take bottled water with me.
Would you stop it?
I know.
You see what I got to put up with? He's mean to me, Vicky. He's very mean to me.
So, Vicky,
You must love it, though. You're still there.
Yeah, we're
I've
still
got his shirt
friends. Yeah. So, Vicky,
and I named my cat after him.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of which I'm going to get into it, John will let me. Damn Texas, they talk all the time. But anyway, your life now is so productive. You're one of these advocates for animals and saving animals. And John and I, as you know, John was showing you his animals, and I'm a pit bull guy, like you're a pit bull lady, and I'm with my wife and I. We adore the animals, but you do a lot for rescues around the country. To tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Well, I started out. I was. It's when I first got ill, and so I got bored, and me getting bored is not always a good thing. But I I was going to the dog pound for some reason, and I realized in a county that had 500 square miles, and you could throw a rock and hit a hunt club. Well, these hunt clubs had somewhere between 30 and 40 dogs in each one, but there's only 7 runs in the shelter there. So 7 dogs come in, and every pit bull that walked through the back door or front door, they had a needle for them. And I just started taking pictures, putting them on online. I do that now. Not as much as I did before, because I lived in Virginia for 27 years, so it was I knew a lot of people there, but I ended up turning it over to people who were used to, getting money and all that. And that's actually how I got my second pit bull. But I realized that when my husband brought his dog, Buster, he was a reverse brindle pit bull. I realized that I had that same fear of pit bulls that other people had. And I felt like, all right, wait a minute. I've had 3 pit bulls now. I've never had an issue with any of them. They are the most loving dogs. They will die for you. If they consider you part of their pack, a pit bull will die for you. And so I do a lot, getting online, talking to people, and finding the different shelters. So when, like, my landlord had a dog, somebody dumped a dog in his yard, and he's already got 5 dogs. So I've been online trying to trying to find a home for that dog. But it hasn't happened yet. But that's my heart, is pit bulls, because people have had so many. All right, I saw this poster one time, and it had 90 dogs on it, and it said, "Point out the pit bull." And I thought I had it nailed. I put up an American Stafford as a pit bull. And see, people, every time somebody gets attacked or something, well, it was a pit bull. It was a pit bull. And 9 times out of 10, it's not. Now, how would you feel if you had 90 people out there that looked like you, and they were all out committing crimes, and you were getting the heat for it? And that's basically what has happened with pit bulls. I mean, from what I understand, in the UK, they have basically put down every pit bull over there. And they don't realize what a wonderful dog that they're putting down. I mean, I've seen Chihuahuas more vicious than a pit bull. So, and sometimes I'll have people send me an 8x10, to sign, and I'll tell them, normally this is $20, but here you go. I want you to do me a favor and take that $20 to your nearest shelter for animals and donate that $20 for that shelter.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You'd love it. There's a great group out of Virginia. We got 2 of our cats we just got from it. And we just went to a fundraiser. They do incredible stuff. I mean, just absolutely incredible stuff. They find these animals, they foster them first, and then from the foster, they end up adopting them out. And it's just a wonderful charity. They have hundreds of animals a year.
Yeah, well, see, that's where I was living in Franklin, Virginia, when Michael Vick's place got raided.
Right.
And I can tell you, what you saw on TV was not half as bad as it really was.
No.
That there were more than 50 dog carcasses on that property. And friends of mine who were doing rescues said you could literally smell the death at the gate.
Wow. It's just awful.
And he used the excuse that, well, this is the way I come up.
Yeah, bullshit. On that, I call bullshit.
Right. That would be like me saying, okay, I beat my kid because I got beat when I was a kid.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm 18. I'm over the age of 18. I'm responsible for myself. And he knew dang well what he was doing was wrong.
Yeah.
It's and there are slowly but surely in Southampton County in Virginia, where I live, they are eradicating the dog fighting. The people that I turn my page over to.
How barbaric is that? I mean, come on. I mean, it's 2025.
Right. Right.
Right.
Sick.
And if you want to, I see nothing wrong with watching a boxing match with 2 grown women or men, because they're making a choice to fight.
Yeah.
There's rules.
These dogs,
they're able to consent.
And there's rules
to it. Yeah.
Right. But these dogs get thrown in, and they've been what's the word I'm looking? They've been juiced up because they have another dog before this dog goes into the ring to fight. They have another dog that they're getting this dog warmed up with.
They're like a bait dog.
And
They call them bait dogs, right?
that's it. You're absolutely correct.
Well,
They call it a bait dog.
I've fostered at least five bait dogs, and they're wonderful
Oh,
creatures.
thank you so much.
That's why I named
That's
my cat
awesome.
after him. He's a good man,
I
even though he's from Oklahoma.
wow.
Dang.
Wow,
Hey,
I can't believe it.
Not to go back, I want to go back just a little bit because for those that are listening, in '84 you broke your neck in the ring, and that's when you had to retire. And you had this terrific career, just got cut really short. Did you ever, at any moment, have the way you broke your neck think that you're going to be able to get back into the business? Was that ever an option, or as soon as you broke it, you knew that that's done? I've got to go somewhere else in life.
Yeah. Well, and when Moola threw me to the wolves, that really left a bad taste in my mouth. I mean,
For us that don't know that, tell us if you don't mind what happened on that.
well, I can't. I broke my neck in the ring, and every day she would come out, get me from the house, and have me take a bump in the ring,
Ooh.
and I would take a bump and scream. And finally, when she figured out that I wasn't going to wrestle anymore, she just said, "You got to start paying your rent. You need to go get a job." I mean, she basically threw me to the wolves, and it broke my heart. It really did. And I wish I had been as smart as Sherry was and went to Charlotte and talked to the guys and got in with them like Sherry did, without Moola. But that didn't happen because I could have been a manager. I
Okay,
could have been,
what did Sherry do? She went there and told her that she wanted to be a manager. Is that how Sherry got into it?
yeah. Well, she started hanging with Buddy Rose and the crew there at the Days Inn in Charlotte,
Right.
and she was looking for work because that was Sherry, um, and she was wrestling somehow, and I can't say I know how, but somehow she started wrestling Moola's girls, but she wasn't working for Moola because she wasn't on the property. I think she went to Buddy and the rest of the guys because, Sherry in her own right, number one, she's beautiful. Number two, she's got the heart of a lion, the size of Texas. And number three, she's a great wrestler, and she's got a mouth. And I not pat myself on the back, but I had pretty much had a good. I could work the mic, and but she just said, you're done. I'm through with you. And I left there, and that was another time I was homeless, and I met my first husband, and I ended up sleeping on his couch for a while, and then you know how that kind of stuff goes. And I ended up marrying him, and I had my son. But it was, Lillian she didn't care, She did not care, and it broke my heart,
And
because I never.
Was there ever a chance that you thought you might get back in the business? Did your neck ever get better, or just did you know at the time that it was done and you finished? You got to find something else to do in life.
Oh, I knew within a month of going out to that ring every morning, I knew I was done as far as taking bumps.
Yeah.
Even I took a bump in 2013. I was over at MLOW, Christy Cluxton, Christy Sells, and I was doing a match with them. I was a manager for Sabrina, and there came a spot where an elbow drop was the perfect thing, and I didn't even think about it. I dropped the elbow. And you can see in the picture that they took after that match, lights are on, nobody's home.
Yeah.
I mean, I was out of it for 3 days.
Wow.
Right. But like I said, everything happens for a reason. And I would not trade my son or my husband, Jack, to have those two men in my lives for all the gold in the world. You know, I just wouldn't. You know, and like I said, everything happens for a reason. We may not know it right at that time, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. And Vicky, you're living in Oklahoma now. You're doing wonderful stuff with animals. Do you go to any wrestling conventions? Do you go to any wrestling shows or
I've been to a couple of, in fact, Tommy Wagman wanted me to become his booker. And I had to tell, after the first night, I had to tell him, Tommy, I can't do it. You know, there's just no way. I can't. I made it through the night. I did my job, but I was down for almost a week after working one night as a booker. And I had to tell Tommy, and I don't think I've ever turned down a job before in my life, but I had to turn that one down because it wouldn't have been fair to Tommy. It wouldn't have been fair to the wrestlers because I was not able to do my job the way it should have been done.
Right. And Vicky, how can guys get a hold of you, or promoters or anything else? They get a hold of you on social media, or how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page. It's Vicky Otis, VICKI as in Tom IS. And if you put in Vicky Otis, I'm usually the top one to come in. I have our fan page, which is Velvet McIntyre, and Princess Victoria is also on Facebook. I've got my Instagram, which is Princess Victoria Tag Team Champ. And then, of course, in case you haven't seen this, I've got my book.
Available on Amazon.
And right, well, if they get it from me, I autograph it for them.
Even better. To hell with Amazon.
And so how do they get it from you? Where just on your web pages?
Yeah, just contact me on Facebook, and I'll get right back with you. And I charge $35 for the book. That includes personalized autograph to whoever you want it to, and postage. It's just a straight $35.
Yeah. Right.
And the way that postage is going up, I'm doing them a good favor doing
exactly.
That's right.
Well, things that I was sending out 2 months ago that were $5.40 postage are up to $7.40 now.
Wow.
They literally went up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Vicky, thank you so much for joining us. It's such a pleasure to meet you. You are welcome in Texas, by the way. You're welcome to move down to Texas and get out of Oklahoma. We would welcome you. But it is a wonderful pleasure meeting you. We can't thank you enough for coming on. What a pleasure it's been.
I appreciate you guys. I had a great time, and I really appreciate you having me on.